Thanks to a combination of smart thinking, added supplies, and a big push on renewables, Spain has come out better than pretty much any other country in Europe. But does that mean they and Europe are in the clear? Joining us now is Arturo Gonzalo. He's the CEO of Enagás, one of Spain's largest gas grid operators, LNG imports, renewables. Mr. Gonzalo, thank you very much for joining us. And I'm going to be in Europe most of next week talking about this. Is Europe's energy crisis over?
Hello, Brian. Thank you very much for inviting me to share this conversation with you. It's a pleasure. No, definitely the crisis in Europe is not over, but it's true that we are initiating the winter season in better conditions than expected. All our underground storage facilities are full. It's true that the beginning of the winter has been very mild, and we can face with confidence this coming winter, although definitely the situation is challenging. Next winter will be especially challenging, and of course we are also paying a price because of the very high cost of gas. But generally speaking, Europe has reacted very effectively to this big challenge of stopping Europe being reliant on Russian gas, and we see the future with more optimism than a few months ago.
Which is good news, Mr. Gonzalo, but when I look at the math, and we've been studying this for weeks ahead of our trip, my mind is about ready to pop. When I look at the numbers, call it 160 billion cubic meters of Russian gas gone. Even with increased imports, a bunch of American liquefied natural gas, Algerian, Azerbaijani, Norway flows, I still see a huge gap in gas demand or gas supply that I don't know, how is that going to be filled? Do you see the same gap?
So far this year, Europe has lost something like 70 billion cubic meters of gas, 70 BCM of Russian gas. We have imported 59 additional BCM as LNG from different sources, especially from the US. You know that the US is now the first supplier of LNG of Europe and also of Spain. And we have increased our imports of pipeline gas, mainly from Norway and Algeria, to a total amount of a little bit more than 6 BCM. So we have replaced most of the Russian gas that has not been imported anymore, and we have reduced the consumption, substituting fuels, and also with initiatives for saving and efficiency. So far we have done pretty well, although, as I said, paying a price. And it's also true that for the next year, if China starts importing as usual, because so far, because of the lockdowns of COVID zero policy, the market has been less tight than it could be when China comes back. But so far, we have shown that there are possibilities for replacing Russian gas. I think that the geopolitical message is very relevant. Europe is determined to stop being dependent on Russian gas, and other suppliers, such as the US, are helping us to face successfully this big challenge.
Yeah, and okay, so that's good news. And Spain, I think you guys have done better than anybody else. You've got a combination of renewables growth, wind, solar, LNG, of more LNG import terminals than any country in Europe. I think you're going to be fine. You think Germany, is Germany going to be okay?
Okay, Spain has, you know, we are a peninsula mainly. We are far away from the pipelines bringing gas from Russia, for instance. And we were traditionally very dependent on Algerian gas. And it came a moment in which there was a decision made to diversify our suppliers, and we built the most robust infrastructure for LNG imports and regasification. Now in Spain, we have 6 regasification LNG plants. that means 33% of all the regasification capacity in Europe.